Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniXTCG. Today we are going to do another OP02 Paramount War primer. Like I said before, we will be switching between decks that are currently out but are getting revitalized, and then decks that are going to be new to the set. And today's deck is Whitebeard. This is going to be pretty cool because Whitebeard's been making a lot of waves over in the Japanese meta, and he will be a contender right out of the box over here as well. So can't wait to jump in. Excited to show you guys some of the cards in this deck, some of the, interactions and whatnot. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. That being said, if you do want to join the Universe X fam, all you gotta do is go down, like the video, hit that subscribe button to help the channel grow, hit the notification button so you never miss a beat, and then just comment. Let me know your thoughts. I will get back to them as soon as possible. It's just been a busy week, and I'm going to Dallas in a couple of days for the Treasure Cup there, so I'm trying to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row, Now, that being said, that's all there is to say, I guess. Would you look at that? Also, if you want to join the Discord, links in the description. Got a great community thriving there. And yeah, let's hop into these cards. All right, so let's actually jump into these cards. First and foremost, you have Whitebeard himself. Edward Newgate is a definite new kind of aspect of this game. You can see there's a bunch of things that change about him. One, he has 6,000 power instead of 5,000 power. You may think this is small, but this is very significant. He also has 6 life. And the reason why he has 6 life is because his end of turn auto. End of turn, add 1 card from the top of your life area to your hand. So in 6 turns, you're going to have 0 life, even if your opponent doesn't touch you. This also changes the scope when it comes to aggro, because aggro will be able to push knowing that you're going to be taking your own life. Now there's some things we're going to get into that kind of go in with that and really turn Whitebeard into even more of a monster. But the most important part to talk about here is that when you have that 6,000, right, it changes up the entire math of the magic numbers game. Remember how swinging on leader for 7 was the magical number? Yeah. Well, you generally want to swing on something. If you want to drain the hand, you want to swing on something for at least 2,000 more than it. 2,000 is a sweet number because they can't just paperclip you with 1 2K if you swung 1K above it. You have to put a 2K out of your hand and then a 1K. Or if you don't have any 1Ks, 2 2Ks. Or if you have a extra card or event, you have to play the event. Whitebeard being at 6 means that 7K is no longer the magic number against it. You swing with 7K, they will still chump you with a 2K. So now that makes 8K the magic number, and that's way more Dawn intensive. And that's a huge part about this leader. Everything is going to hit harder, or everything needs to hit harder in order to breach Whitebeard's defenses. So let's go over, because this deck makes more sense the more cards you see from it. Now, in the terms of new cards, one of them will be Machina. We've talked about it before in the Zoro breakdown, but activate main, you may rest this character up to one of your red characters at the cost of 1, gains 3k power for the during this turn. We're going to see the cards you can use in conjunction with that soon. And then she's also a counter 2k. That's an important thing. Yeah, so you're going to find that 2Ks are very good. We do like our 2K counters, but what becomes more and more prevalent as the game goes by are 2K counters that do something. Like, it's not enough to just be a 2K counter. You need to be a 2K counter that has some sort of effect. Even right now, some of the better 2K counters are things like that. Izo, he is a 2K counter, but he can also tap things in pinch. You have things like, why am I blinking? I mean, you have things like, Fiesta Bueno Fiesta, that's a 2K, but also a 1K searcher if need be. In red, you have Gordon, who's a 2K, but can also, draw a card, or bottom deck a card, draw a card. So these 2Ks that actually can not just be blank cards if you don't need them on the defense are very important. Moving on to the next card, you've got Vista. We've already talked about him as well. 3 cost for a 3K that comes into play and KOs something with 3K power or less. This is actually a really good card as well. Just kind of goes ham with the ability to destroy small things, small blockers, stuff like that. Next, now this card is very good. This is 4-drop Marco the Phoenix, 5k power, blocker, and on KO you may trash 1 card from your hand with Whitebeard Pirates in its type. If you have 2 or less life cards, play this character from your trash instead. So this is actually really intense. And it's all trash rested, so it's going to be rested, but he'll be able to block and he can survive the attack. But if they swing on him again, like, it's really rough to swing on this card because you know, like you will be able to bring him back as many times as you have cards in hand. And yes, there's going to be a point where you just don't want to drop any more cards, but even so, like, this is a very, very good card. You play him and he gets his mileage for the rest of the game. Very, very reliable, and it's great to have a blocker that's really rough to get rid of because Whitebeard does dip low on health. Now, next we have Diamond Jozu. Dawn X1, if you have less than, well, first off, he's a counter 2K. This is another one of those counter 2Ks that actually does something. Dawn X1, if you have less than 2 life and your leader has Whitebeard Pirates in its type, this character gains Rush. So when you play him, he's already going to be 4K. He's going to go up to 5K, and he's going to have Rush if you have low enough life, which is very, very likely in Whitebeard. And then there's going to be a card later that's going to tie him even like further into a level of power that's going to be ridiculous. Next, we're going to talk about the vanillas. Not really much to talk about, but you've got Atmos. He's just Whitebeard Pirates, 4 cost 6K. And then you've got King Do, who is also a 5-drop, who's a 7K. He's the Virgo. He's literally the Virgo of the deck. Next, a lot of people are looking at this card. You've got Ace. He is 7-drop, 7K, so the stats are pretty cool. And you're wondering why he's 2 more costs for the same amount of stats. Well, it's because on play, you give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3K power this turn. Then, if your leader has Whitebeard and its types, this character gains Rush during this turn. So you play him for 7. He's a rusher, and he's going to give 2 things minus 3K. This is going to be very, very good because this combos a lot of stuff. You don't always want to tap out. Tapping out can be dangerous. But if you play this guy and in a pinch, you can play a Vista and blow up something that used to be 6K. Now it's only 3K. You can blow it up with Vista. You can put Dawn under the Whitebeard boss and swing in. And that's a 9 cost play, 7 for this guy, 2 Dawn under Whitebeard, swing in, and then Whitebeard will destroy something that, again, used to be 6K. Now it's 3K, and then it blows up. So this is pretty cool. Once again, there is another card later that makes these things ridiculously silly. But yeah, Ace puts in work. Next, we've already talked about Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, but we'll go over him one more time. He's a 9 cost. He has 10K power. And then on play, up to one of your leaders gains 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. Then you cannot add cards from your life area to your hand by your effects during this turn. Dawn X2, when attacking, KO to one of your opponent's characters with 3K or less power. So he's got the Robin effect on attacking for Dawn 2, making him a 12K swinger. Monstrous stats. The important thing though is, with here, up to one of your leaders gains 2K power until the start of your next turn. This makes Whitebeard an 8K leader when this guy is played. That is insane. You know how much damage your opponent has to put out? Your leader is literally facing an 8-drop Dawn, or a 7-drop Dawn Up Kid to the face with no enhancements. You can drop a 1K and you can break that swing. Your opponent has to put a lot. Even Kid himself, who can go up to 12K easily, might not get the dub on this leader if you have more than 4 or 5 cards in hand, because you literally can bounce both attacks. You're a base 8K, buddy. Like, that's insane. So yeah, Whitebeard's got that juice. This goes really, really hard with these cards. Now, the card that really ties this together, though, is Moby Dick. You guys are going to hate this card if you are not playing Whitebeard. If you are playing Whitebeard, you're going to love this card. So, your turn. If you have 1 or less life cards, your Edward Newgate and all of your characters of the Whitebeard Pirates gain 2,000 power. Alright. Now, what this means is, going back, if you guys want to rewind the video, this means that at 1 life, Edward Newgate is an 8K swinger. Your leader swings for 8K. This means your Buena Vista swings for 5K. Your Marco swings for 7K. Your Diamond Jozu, your rusher that gets played for 4 and then 1 down underneath him, is now going to swing for 7K rush. He is officially Rush Luffy in cost and function, except he just doesn't dodge blockers. Your Atmos Vanilla is now an 8K. Your King Do Vanilla is now a 9K. Your Ace is a 9K rush now. Like, in your Whitebeard is a 12K at base. He goes up to 14K if you Dawn X to him. This field card goes hard. Oh yeah, and by the way, the turn you play Whitebeard, if this is already on the field and you're at 1 or less life, Whitebeard now swings for 10,000. That is the power of Moby Dick. Moby Dick does incredible things. Like, This is just ridiculous. So when this card is out, when you finally are getting to a point where you think you're about to kill a Whitebeard player, they will have offense that makes you quiver in your boots. Like, that is the main thing that Whitebeard is doing. Now, moving over to the next card, we've got Seaquake, right? So Seaquake, main, it's a 1 cost, and it's main if your leader has Whitebeard pirates in its name, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. That's really nice. That's a spot removal for blockers. That's a spot removal for plenty of things, actually, but mostly blockers. But if you're using things like Otama, if you, for some reason, feel the need to tech Gord in this deck, if you have any minus effects, this can combo very well with it. Like, you play Ace, and you could bring a Basil Hawkins down to 3k, and then use Seaquake in order to pop it. That's crazy. Now, the trigger for Seaquake is give up to one of your opponent's leader or character cards minus 3k for the turn. That's a decent trigger. It's not as good as Red Hawk, but that's still a decent trigger. Now we're going to move over to returning cards. We've got Otama, obviously 2k that does the minus. The minus will help you kill things with Blackbeard and Vista. Very good. Next, Chopper. You're going to want to have a lot of blockers, or a fair amount of blockers in this deck. You want things that can help you not die, you know? So Chopper is a 1 cost red blocker. Easy inclusion. You have actually Bartolomeu. He's a 2 cost blocker, and he has a Dawn Up effect that can boost him up to a 3k, but for the most part, you just want a cheap blocker and he's a counter in hand, so there you go. Now, because Whitebeard gets so low on life by his own machinations, you have Radical Beam. This is in almost every single Whitebeard deck, because you're always going to be at the threshold pretty much to have 2 or less life, meaning that on top of your 6k stats already, you are going to be gaining an additional 2k on top of this 2k. So he's gonna, like, for 1 Dawn, you're gonna go up to a 10k wall on your leader. On top of that, if you already have Whitebeard out, who costs 9, you leave 1 Dawn up for Radical Beam, you're gonna be able to go up to 12k for 1 Dawn. This is incredible amounts of synergy with this leader. Now moving forward, you've got Guard Point. This is found in a bunch of decks as well. But basically, yeah, your leader or one of your characters gains 3k power during this battle. Once again, putting Whitebeard from 6k to 9k, or from 8k to 11k for 1 is very, very strong. Even the trigger, if your leader, one of your characters gains, or one of your characters gains plus 1k power, even the trigger can put them up to 7k, which can stop a lot of decks in their tracks. There's lots of decks that hit you repeatedly, like Swarm decks that can hit you for 5k over and over again. Zoro gets better at hitting for 6s and 7s next step. But a wide strategy could be hitting you for 5k, and this could stop it. You're just at 7k base for a turn. Yeah, it's wild. Now, we're going to go over to the underused cards. People have been hating on me for liking Savaodi. The card has been seen just to fill up slots every now and then, but this right here is pretty much Savaodi for the Whitebeards. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 character card with Whitebeard Pirates in its name, add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. That's what it is. That's what it do for. This card essentially fills up extra slots. Anytime I've seen it in a deck list, it's been at 1, it's been at 2, it's been at 3, never 4, but it literally looks like it just fills up space. When somebody feels like they have not had enough cards in their deck, they just fill it up with this afterwards. So I can understand that. Next, Red Hawk. I think that because of this deck, the way it's formatted, 2 Dawn on the defense is a little expensive. However, people still tech this in every now and then. Once again, you get 4k, you're going up pretty high. Whitebeard's going to go up to 10k, and you get to pop something 4k power or less. It's pretty good. Another underused thing. Sometimes I've seen in lists in Japan that people forsake the Whitebeard Pirates entirely. Just use the Whitebeard boss monster, the leader, and then they use the Straw Hat engine. I'm not sure if this is more effective or not. This may have been kind of more of the early stretches of the deck before people realized the power of just using the Whitebeard Pirates. But just in case you want to know, when you want to play the Straw Hat engine over the Whitebeard engine, you're playing the 1-drop Namis that search, you're playing Robin for more destruction, and you're playing Luffy in order to have more rush that can ignore blocker. And that's pretty much that. So let's actually get over to the closing for this. So essentially, it's not really any question that Whitebeard is powerful. From his baseline stats to his ability to have a lot of destruction on tap, having access to rush being in red, having access to a lot of actually good defensive lineups because of the fact that he has a stronger base, plus he takes his own life, so he's activating things like Radical Beam. Whitebeard can kind of do it all. He's actually going to gain so many cards because he's drawing for turn, and at the end of the turn, he's accruing a card from life. You have cards that still do search and add. Whitebeard is a force, and you do need to understand how to play against it. You have to understand how to prepare yourself for its later turns, because Whitebeard is deadliest closest to death, much like he is in the show, because Bandai loves that flavor. Whitebeard is most certainly closer to, or more dangerous the closer he is to death. He's going to be swinging for massive numbers. There isn't lots of field card destruction yet, stage card destruction. There will be from the CP like 9 deck that comes out in set 3, but right now when Moby Dick lands, it lands, and when they get down low, you have to just understand that everything is coming in hotter. So when it comes to Whitebeard, you're gonna have to defend early. It's almost like it's actually exactly like my logic for Kaido. Defend the early attacks, because when that deck gets rolling, you will not be able to out counter any of its larger ones. So you have to make sure that you are prioritizing not taking early damage, because the in-game damage will be unblockable. Pretty much. There's lots of destruction, and they just come in too high. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you were looking forward to Whitebeard. Let me know if you were thinking that the deck is just like too good. How do you feel? I also want to give a shout out to Mystic TCG. If you were looking to pre-order future sets, starter decks, or looking for a place to buy singles once the singles drop, just go down in the link in the description, and you know what? I'll just play the ad here. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video. So let's talk about our sponsor, Mystic TCG, your one-stop shop for all of your trading card game needs. On their site, you can buy or pre-order starter decks, boxes, even cases, as long as you try to give it about 3 to 4 months ahead of time for the pre-orders, because sometimes the product's a little too hot to keep on the shelves. If you want singles, you can go over to their TCG Player website, where you'll find nothing but product and great reviews. And if you even want to sell your collections, just hop on over to their Facebook page and message them directly, and you get a price worked out for you, best bang for your buck. And you know what? While you're here, let me throw you a little something extra. If you want 5% off of any purchases made on the site, make sure you use the link in the description, or at checkout, use the code WORSTGEN. That'll be on the screen as well, and I hope you find something you like with Mystic TCG.